Friday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Can you hear me all right? See, I got headphones tonight. Want to shout out Chris for the very generous gift. I was surprised in the mail today. Got some Audio Technica. Little message telling me to use the headphones so I can actually start working on improving the sound. So I'm using headphones tonight. I'm not going to do it all the time. In fact, something tells me I may take them off during the show. Wearing the Brian Pillman shirt. Brian effing Pillman. Watch the Vice documentary, parts 1 and 2, and phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll talk about it briefly later on. If you were on the fence as far as watching it, I'll tell you this much. You're not going to learn much if you have followed his career and tragedy over the years. I mean, there really wasn't much new that was revealed. But, having it put all together and, seeing a lot of people from yesteryear talking about, we'll talk about it later. Also, I got the AEW quarter-hour ratings, NXT quarter-hour ratings. SmackDown tonight. Look, please do not take what I'm about to say the wrong way. I have said all along that Roman Reigns is killing it as the head of the table, the leader of WWE, the heavyweight champion. I have no complaints as far as Roman Reigns, but my God, how many segments did we need tonight for Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was nice to see Jimmy Uso make his return, but the whole night, are you going to acknowledge me? Are you going to acknowledge me? Is he going to acknowledge you? I'm not going to be his bitch. We should go for the tag titles. Get Jay in here. Let's do it in the ring. There was like 7 segments tonight. Might not have been 7, but it had to have been at least 5 or 6. I mean, my God, I know they're trying to make the match with Cesaro feel worthy and strong, but this is all on WWE. Cesaro has had a long career in WWE, and when they announced tonight that this is Cesaro's first ever heavyweight championship match, that's embarrassing on WWE's part. But Cesaro coming out there attacking, does anybody in their right mind think that Cesaro suddenly is going to replace the tribal chief as the head of WWE? It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I mean, even when you follow some of these wrestlers, WWE loves to pipe in the really, really loud crowd reaction that doesn't match the Thunderdome audience. We joked about it on NXT. Ted DiBiase, the background, you would have thought 7,000 people were in the Capitol Wrestling Center. Karrion Kross comes out, and they pipe in loud, loud boos. Tonight, I had a fucking headache with the Roman Reigns one. You go back and listen to it. That "you suck" chant was 2 phrases because you could hear it. It goes, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. If you listen to it closely, that's all it was. And they just looped it over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, oh, you're giving me a goddamn headache. And then Cesaro comes out and they pipe in guts. They pipe in nothing. Even Michael Cole, when Cesaro came out originally, it's just like, you would have thought Adnan Virk was out there. Oh, my God. We'll talk about it. Look, the overall episode of SmackDown was okay. as far as throwback goes, showing us a couple of clips from yesteryear doesn't make it suddenly like this big throwback episode. We sort of got the fist today. You know, a graphic. We didn't get the actual fist. Hey, I'll take the fucking graphic. See, WWE Universe? They listen. Everybody wanted the fist, and you got the fist. So you can't say that WWE does not listen to their audience out there. Oh, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee wearing the retro jackets. Yeah, that gives us the old school feel. Oh, we have old school graphics. We got old school graphics. Oh. And what about all of those people from yesteryear making surprise cameos? We got one today. Teddy Long. Did not feel like a throwback episode. I mean, this was hyped up shit. And let me tell you something. You know, overall, Reginald versus Tamina. Are you kidding me? I mean, I thought the episode was okay, but man, talk about a lot of like hype for the last 7 days, and I don't think it really amounted to much of anything. Yeah, and next week we have Tamina and Natty taking on Nia and Shayna for the tag team championships. I know there's a lot of you out there, including me, saying, why is this not on WrestleMania Backlash? If you think of all of the storyline and hype that's been going on, they should have had, the championship at WrestleMania. And now it's going to be on SmackDown next week. You can't wait 48 hours and do it on the pay-per-view. You can't even do it as a pre-show match. Unless there is a title change next week on SmackDown, I will not be surprised if the match ends in a clusterfuck and this leads to the match taking place again at the pay-per-view or maybe a hybrid of it. Because remember, we got the other tag teams that WWE's kind of been teasing in this mix. So I'm just, I'm a little bit torn on the fence about this. Ted Turner says I would have popped if I would have wore a denim shirt. I could have wore a denim shirt today, but I wanted to wear the Pillman as a little tribute, for the Dark Side of the Ring. When Dark Side of the Ring first came out, I wasn't a huge fan because a lot of it was sensationalized, and they would leave out big, important points of some stories. Some of the documentaries felt like they were pushing more of an agenda than anything else. But I tell you, as the episodes went by, I thought the production value went up. I thought the content... Look, the Brawl for It All episode is the one that pissed me off more than anything because it turned into a let's shit on Vince Russo campaign and the heat between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. That's what it turned into. And since then, I got to give Vice credit. They have definitely upped the production value and the content. And I tell you, looking at Melanie Pillman, after all of these years and the drug abuse and everything, I don't know if you all saw this doc, but at the beginning of the episode, I thought she was evil upon evil. Towards the end of the episode, I actually felt bad for her. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that. What do you guys want to get into first? You want to get into the ratings? You want to get into SmackDown? You want to talk about the Pillman documentary? Could I say one thing about the ratings right now while you all choose? Last week, Impact Wrestling drew 120,000 viewers. Kenny Omega became the heavyweight champion. You had 4 to 5 months of storyline, and it led to Kenny Omega becoming champion. Last Thursday was the first Impact with Kenny Omega as champion, and they drew the second worst rating since last year, and their average numbers have been, I don't want to say nosediving, but have been going down. Kenny Omega debuted in Impact Wrestling. That night drew 220,000 viewers. Last week, it was almost cut in half. And what did every podcaster, blogger, tweet banger said, oh, no, it was because of the NFL draft. So last week on this show, you and I, for the most part, ripped them a new you-know-what because they're always blaming crap on other shows. Pathetic, pathetic, pathetic. And what did we say last week? They better hope that they pop a rating or rebound this week because Kenny Omega, the holder of the belt collector, none of the AEW fans are interested enough. Just think about that. We're still in the middle of COVID, so you don't normally go out on a Thursday night. You don't normally do anything outside the house, and you got a million AEW fans out there that can't get motivated enough to see their heavyweight champion on another wrestling product. So what does the rating do this week? Exactly what I told you it would get. No change whatsoever. 123,000 viewers. 123,000 viewers. What draft are you going to blame it on this week? What presidential speech, tidal wave, shooting, earthquake, tsunami? Tell me what you blame it on this week. It's embarrassing. Impact Wrestling, I will continue saying it. Impact, and this is just opinion, but anybody that truly, looks between the lines and not just want to tweet, epic this, epic that to get likes. Impact Wrestling lost their identity. This whole AEW storyline has done nothing for Impact. And if Impact Wrestling thinks, see, this is the thing people really need to understand. This is the most important thing. There is no hidden ratings that we're not aware of. There is no hidden numbers that we're not aware of. If you look before Kenny Omega showed up and Tony Khan started doing those paid commercials, you look at the ratings that Impact Wrestling had, their ratings were better than they are now. If we would have saw this happening leading into what was it? I don't remember what date it was, but leading into the date that Kenny Omega showed up on Impact, if they were significantly declining over the month before, 2 months before, we got to shake it up, we got to do something to try to spark numbers, then I would understand that. But it's not like Impact Wrestling was on a steady nosedive of ratings and they had to pull this move. You know exactly what happened. And people out there will not have the balls to say it. Impact Wrestling thought that they were going to get a surge of new viewers by having AEW kind of do an invasion storyline. And once that invasion storyline became one-sided, and they never did once that the Impact wrestlers would try to invade Jacksonville. Rich Swann should have showed up in Jacksonville 4 months ago to try to do something. When it was all one-sided, that's stupid. This isn't 1993. Tony Khan's really buying paid ads and this and that. And then you watch AEW, and there's virtually no plug for Impact Wrestling other than when Don Callis is there. People saw right through it. It was all one-sided. The AEW invasion of Impact helped Impact zero. And look at it like this. Who knows what Impact's numbers would have been if this invasion storyline never happened. But Impact Wrestling lost their identity. They started losing it last year with the Wrestle House stuff, but the Wrestle House stuff was something different. It was a little campy and corny, but that's sometimes what we like in wrestling. Impact Wrestling has zero identity right now. I brought it up on the social media page. It's supposed to be a horrible, bad thing that an AEW wrestler won the Impact title. That's why you had this emergency meeting in the ring with Scott D'Amore storyline, but yet their social media account puts these big banners and new with fireworks and pomps and circumstance and new. You look at their social media channel, they're hyping it up. They're looking for tweet bangs instead of thinking of the storyline. Wait, we should not come off as being excited about this. They fucked up their identity so bad. And AEW is not, it's not AEW's fault. They're doing nothing wrong. But Impact Wrestling better quickly start repairing an identity, because these numbers keep going down. And this is embarrassing for Kenny Omega, that you're on Impact week after. You're the heavyweight champion now, and you can't get no viewers from that watch AEW to tune in and see their champion on it. Just think about that for a second. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I'm going back, see what you all wanted me to talk about. Oh, got a birthday wish. Neil Ray wanted to send a birthday wish, I think, to Lion 2012. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Let's make it official. Lion, happy birthday. Anybody else want a super chat birthday wishes? I'm kidding. We're just kidding around, but that's very cool. Happy birthday, Lion 2012. Much love as always. Much love. Neil also asks, who will beat Roman Reigns? Seth Rollins? No, I still think Big E. I think Big E is going to be the guy. It's got to be a huge, strong baby face. Even if Seth Rollins turned baby face right now, you know, you see how he is received on social media, and it's not just because he is a heel on TV, but they got to go with something fresh, someone really well-liked. Nakamura, forget it. You and I saw this in January, that this shit was going to happen. It was all smoke and mirrors about Nakamura's push. I mean, tonight, watching him get pinned in that 10-man tag, pretty much just put an exclamation point of what we knew all along. And I got fears that Cesaro is going to be the same thing. You know, I mean, you got a lot of fans of Cesaro out there. I am one included. But when you see Roman Reigns on the level that he's on, 6-7 segments, and the leader of WWE, you think Cesaro? Let's be honest, everyone. Cesaro himself, I guarantee you, looks in the mirror and says, ain't no fucking way they're going to put the belt on me. It's not a knock on him, but this is what happens. You know, when you don't push people, you know, the way they should. You just rely on others, and they relied on others for years and years and years and years and years. And now all of a sudden, you want us to think, you want us to think now? Suddenly they just woke up. They just realized, wow, we had a gem, and we didn't even realize it. I'm not trying to be cold about this. I'm trying to be realistic. I'm looking forward to the match because I think it's going to be a really good match. I want to see Roman Reigns take the swing and take it for like 25 times. But in the end, I think the outcome is pretty much predictable. But I think Big E right now is the odds-on favorite to replace Roman Reigns as heavyweight champion. But I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. You know, you heard the news today that WWE, it appears SummerSlam will be their official return to touring. There have been all these people that said they're never going to go back to house shows. Not only are they going to tour, but house shows are coming back. They will be brought in slowly, because you got to remember something. And this is something I think people really need to think about when it comes to the promotions touring again. It's not just them just picking up and going to an arena in a town near you. You see on the news, one of the biggest problems right now is that a lot of people are making more money by collecting unemployment and pandemic unemployment and staying home. So when you have an arena and you can't fill employment spots, you know, it's not that easy for them to return. So it's not just a matter of, you know, we want to go to tour again, but we're really reluctant. No, there's a lot of arenas that can't go back to 100%, even if they want to, because they don't have the manpower. So that is a big issue going forward. So my thinking is WWE might, I think what they may do is rent similar to what Impact was doing when they were feuding with Global Force Wrestling. They were going to baseball fields, like minor league fields and some others. That would probably be some of the best decisions they could do. Now, obviously, it's a huge risk when you have a show outdoors. I mean, look at WrestleMania, a perfect example. But you do it out in the baseball field, you know, that seats a lot less people than what you would have for an arena. You know, it's safer outside. So I think some of the events you will see more outdoors than anything else. But, you know, it's something to think about. But since they are going to return to crowds, they have to have Roman Reigns champion for a little while to get some of that real organic heel heat, not the freaking soundboard, just looping two phrases over and over and over again. And if Big E takes the title off of Roman, it's going to be pretty special. It really will. Alexis, oh, cool, very cool. I mailed it to you on Wednesday. I had a feeling you were going to get it by today, so congrats, my friend. So he won last Thursday's prize on Who Dat and got an extra 100 by accident. You know, I tell you, I don't know if you tuned in yesterday. We were having a good laugh about it. Last week, we spun the wheel twice. I think he won like $35. Mish was on me, and I'm like, let's spin it one extra time. And the freaking thing, I don't have the wheel behind me right now. The freaking thing landed on 100. And after the show was over, Mish is like, why did you do that? Nothing against Alexis. But he's like, why did you do that? It sounds like Ray Liotta from Goodfellas when his wife flushed all the drugs. Why did you do that? That was 20 grand. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about SmackDown. Let's get that out of the way a little bit because, you know, like I said, you had 6 or 7 segments today of Roman Reigns. Oh, will he call me the tribal chief? What is this, fucking school? Will he call me the tribal chief? He must acknowledge me as the tribal chief. I mean, I understand why the storyline is happening, but again, it's just recycled shit over and over again. Just replace Jay with Jimmy, and that's what you got tonight. So we open up SmackDown with the old logo. Nice vignette with The Rock, Vince McMahon, Gorilla Monsoon, Mean Gene. You know, it was nice retro. Really didn't have much to do about SmackDown, although during the show they showed some clips. They showed Eddie Guerrero and Vince McMahon when Edge and Hogan became tag champions, Big Show and Brock Lesnar when the ring collapsed, John Cena's debut, a few others. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. Problem is, you had nobody making cameos except for Teddy Long. And it was nice to see Teddy Long. But putting some old school graphics, I mean, how much overtime work do you think is involved with that? You know, putting a computer graphic of the fist and not the actual fist, what kind of work do you think is involved with that? This was basically just to add a little touch, you know, to the fact that it's regular SmackDown. You know, I don't know what they thought. We thought it was going to be. But, yeah, I miss Gorilla Monsoon, too. Last week I wore my Gorilla T-shirt. A little shout-out to Gorilla Monsoon. So, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman come down to the ring, and they're basically talking about the match last week with Daniel Bryan. Meanwhile, right before that, we saw a whole recap of it. And it was funny because Paul Heyman tried to he did a 10-bell salute to Daniel Bryan's career. And if you look at it, it looked like Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were going to laugh. I mean, it was pretty funny the way it came off on TV. But, you know, Roman Reigns announces that they have replaced Daniel Bryan with someone else. And out comes Jimmy Uso. Nice to see Jimmy Uso back. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about his imminent return. You know, I think we have a good idea as far as who's going to be the next WWE Tag Team Champions on the SmackDown side. And obviously, the Usos could very well be the first contenders for those tag titles. So, He comes out, they're in the ring, and Roman Reigns, I smashed him, I pinned him, I got rid of him. About Daniel Bryan. Once he says he replaced Daniel Bryan with Jimmy Uso, this brings out Cesaro. I almost want to fart. That, like I said, WWE puts no excitement in. I mean, I know, because I've been on Thunderdome enough, how it works, that they tell the fans in attendance, all right, everybody, get up, clap, cheer. All right, everyone, show your thing. Even when Daniel Bryan would come out back, all right, everyone, get ready to do the yes. Ready? Now, yes, and everybody would do it. I guess WWE just didn't have faith that all the fans on the Thunderdome when Cesaro came out, I guess they didn't have faith that the fans are going to be like, no reaction whatsoever. Cesaro comes out, and he's like, no one will ever replace Daniel Bryan. Oh, how nice. Big effing deal. Seth Rollins comes out. Seth Rollins gets into it a little bit with Cesaro. And out comes Teddy Long. Nice to see Teddy Long. Yes, I will be a little bit of a wise ass. Teddy Long makes the announcement, player, that if Cesaro could beat Seth Rollins tonight, Cesaro will get a World Heavyweight Championship, Universal Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash against Roman Reigns. And my first thought was, Teddy, what happened, Teddy? Cesaro took your fucking girlfriend from you. He should have been given, he finally got the revenge. Stick the chicken up Cesaro's ass. But no, he rewards him. Like I said, I'm just being a little bit of a jerk, but, Teddy Long, because we always are used to him announcing tag team matches, and that would happen later on. So we get the match. Right off the bat, we get the match. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Now, number one, what happened to the referee going, why were the Usos allowed to stay at ringside for Cesaro versus Seth Rollins? That I thought was very stupid. Then there's a part, because obviously it's got to be a clusterfuck win. The Usos try to help Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is having a match with Cesaro. Seth Rollins walks out of the ring. I think it was Jey Uso that, I guess tapped him on the shoulder. And Seth Rollins says, I don't need your help. I'm not Roman. I don't need your help. Now, in storyline, they should have just got up, walked to the back. But no, for some reason during the match, hey, you, taps him on the shoulder. Seth Rollins turns around, pushes Jey Uso. He hits the floor. Then he ends up getting super kicked. Throws him back in the ring. Cesaro gets the win. The Gotch neutralizer. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and I should also add that after Jimmy Uso got involved with Seth Rollins, for some reason that pissed off Cesaro. Cesaro decides to dive outside the ring onto, I don't know if it was Jimmy Uso or Jey Uso. I think it was Jimmy Uso. Oh my God, Cesaro was so offended that Seth Rollins was super kicked. So that's pretty much what went down. And then, you look at it, and Jey Uso, if you could read lips, it's almost like Jey Uso's telling Jimmy Uso, the fuck did you just do? What did you just do? Why did you, hit Rollins? Rollins got pinned. That doesn't help the tribal chief. What did you do? What the fuck you both around ringside in the first place for? Again, I'm just talking storyline to show you how stupid this comes across on TV. I'm looking at some of the feedback in the chat. Shout out to Royal Soldier, Austin Nance, Ken terminated by DQ. Ken, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a little bit. Roger Rubio, Sam I am. Yeah, 2020. Yeah. That's like that scene with Rodney Dangerfield. What was it? Something school, when he's like, "Hey everybody, we're gonna get laid." You guys are funny, man. By the way, if you're enjoying the show tonight, I would greatly appreciate it if you... Wow. That's bassy in my ears. Holy shit. Oh, it's in stereo too. The bells go like this. This is the first time I'm using headphones doing the show. So smash that like button, like, share, subscribe. You know the deal. So Jey Uso's looking at Jimmy like, what did you just do? You helped Cesaro get the win. And Roman Reigns the whole night on the couch. That was the whole night. Paul Heyman must get tired, leaning over Roman Reigns in the back. Oh, no. Royal Soldier says I should get birds like Riddle and have him come out after the bell. Trust me. You remember that video game Duck Hunt? If there was a way, I'm telling you, I wish I could incorporate Duck Hunt on the screen. So when I would like slam down and the birds would fly, shoot them. Seriously. So we go back from the break. Now, so far, we have had one segment with Roman Reigns. Let's count the segments tonight. We got one so far. So we come back from commercial, and Seth Rollins is in the back with Roman Reigns. And Seth Rollins is like, you know, your guy cost me in a match. And Roman Reigns is like, well, you lost. Now you put me in a bad situation. So Roman Reigns says, I'll take care of it. Seth Rollins says, if you don't, I will. All right. Blah, 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 blah. We also got as a SmackDown highlight, Booker T, Steve Austin, price check on a jackass. I always sound Jewish when I do that. That's probably my favorite SmackDown moment of all time, or it's in my top 3, and I'm just forgetting about other moments right now. So we now go back in the back, and we got Teddy Long with Sonya Deville. Remember last week? Remember what we talked about with Adam Pearce? Adam Pearce, mystery disappearance last week, but was on Raw. This week, nowhere to be found. Keep note of that. Nobody, other than us, took notice of that last week. Like, why wasn't Adam Pearce around for such an important match? Daniel Bryan's career on SmackDown. Who agreed that Daniel Bryan would be off SmackDown? Just think about that. This week, nothing. 0. So, Teddy Long's in the back with Sonya Deville. And Teddy Long basically giving a little praise for Sonya Deville. It appears to be Sonya Deville's idea for the whole thing with, the match, the stipulation, Cesaro, Roman Reigns, blah, 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 blah. Sami Zayn shows up, and Sami wants a match against Apollo Crews. Teddy Long instead says, you will go one-on-one with The Undertaker. He's retired, obviously. They said he was retired on the show. So then he announces that he's going to be in a tag team match with Apollo Crews. Sami Zayn don't want to team up with Apollo Crews after what General Aziz did to Sami Zayn last week. So Teddy Long then says, no, it's going to be a 10-man tag. Chad Gable, Otis, King Corbin, Apollo Crews, and Sami Zayn versus Big E, Street Profits, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura. Okay. Then Teddy Long is showing Sami Zayn how to dance. Oh, by the way, I did get one of those Sami Zayn shirts, the one that he had for charity for, his causes in Syria. I think it's going to be delivered Monday. So I don't know if I will do the Sami dance, though. But someone sent me an email and gave me a little bribe to do something next week on Monday, because they want to see Mish's reaction when I do it. So I might make a little embarrassment of myself. Nia Rofé, any news on the draft? Right now, they're planting the seeds of the storyline that you and I have talked about for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Sonya Deville, Adam Pearce, difference of opinion, Sonya abusing power. We talked about that before they even did the thing with her reinstating Charlotte. So this storyline needs to play out a little bit further. And again, I like the idea. If they do the draft, you need a figurehead on Raw and you need a figurehead on SmackDown. And we'll see if they end up going with Adam Pearce on only one brand and Sonya on another. You know, if they do that, they want to make sure that Sonya Deville is ready for that spot and it fits in with the storyline. So nothing right now. Once the draft is announced, then we could fantasize who will go where. Right now, it hasn't even been announced. So, by the way, for my channel subscribers here, I'm going to be doing the Q&A tomorrow, not Sunday. I completely forgot that it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so I will be with Mom. And by the way, shout out to all of you out there. Happy Mother's Day to your moms. If you're a mom yourself and you're tuning in, to our moms that are still with us here physically or in spirit, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Much love, much love. So, after they announced the 10-man tag, Roman Reigns in the locker room with Jimmy and Jey Uso. Roman Reigns is furious at Jimmy Uso. I ain't going to be your bitch. He walks off. Carmella against Ruby Riott. Put it this way. You ever see like they post like pictures and someone will say, caption this? Everyone, I want you to caption this. This is what some catfish on social media's face reaction is going to be when they are exposed. May not happen for a month, a year, 10 years, but sooner or later all the catfish will be revealed. That will be the look on their face every time they are exposed. All the skeletons in the closets will get piled up. And that's actually the face I made when I saw my dad come out of the shower naked when I was very, very young, accidentally. I had to go take a shit. I opened the door, and there's my father butt naked looking for a towel. I only saw his ass. I didn't see the front. But, yeah, that was the look of Ruby Riott. She tapped out. I know a lot of people were triggered that Carmella beat Ruby Riott. Carmella actually looked great in the match today. No problem with Carmella getting the win, and they kept the match short. You know, I know some people feel that Ruby Riott deserves better. Well, you know what? Not right now. Unfortunately, not right now. And look, I'm with you. Tamina versus Reginald, I'm with you. No, I didn't enjoy seeing my dad naked. I just saw his ass. I saw his ass many times because my father was one of those with the plumber's ass that my father works in the house and he doesn't wear a belt. So he bends over to like grab the garbage to take it out and you see crack, you know, moon over Broadway. So, you know, anyway, we then get the segment with Bayley. Okay. Now we have a little bit of fun. Bayley comes out. What do you think of her hair, everybody? I like it. I like the look. I like the look very much. She comes out bad-mouthing Bayley. Well, first she talks about a lot of women's championships from yesterday. And now keep this thought of Bayley's hair in the back of your mind. Just keep it there because you will see her hair again in a moment. She's given props for a lot of women champions from yesteryear: Alundra Blaze, Trish Stratus, Lita, Molly Holly, Jacqueline, Beth Phoenix. And she took a couple of jabs at them as well. And then they showed a picture of Bianca, and she said that Bianca's insecure and this and that. Honestly, today, it felt like Bianca just replaced Sasha Banks in that department. Like, all I needed today for Bianca Belair to go, like that laugh that Sasha does. And, you know, they have a brawl. And they're going to have a match, obviously, at WrestleMania Backlash. Bayley promised to win the title. She ain't winning the title. But, you know, Look, I'm fine with Bianca Belair being champion right now. I just don't know what happens next with Sasha Banks. So, look, it's nothing against Bianca. I like Bianca Belair, and she's doing a fine job. But you could see, like tonight, what happens when they put the words in the women's mouths. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the laughter is supposed to get under someone's skin and annoy them and everything. But if you actually pay attention to Bianca's promos, it's like WWE is not letting her ad-lib as much. It's always the same phrase over and over and over again. So, yeah, Royal Soldier says he liked her, but now all she does is smile. It's just the overall character. What Bianca Belair, what got her to the table and her persona, the EST of everything, being conceited but confident, that's out the door. It's almost like you can't be a babyface and be extremely conceited when you're in the big time with WWE. They took a lot of her edginess and her overconfidence. And I understand when you're going to say, well, she's the champion, so there's no reason for her to be overconfident anymore because she is champion. But still, you kind of took away from her character. I could see if you tone down someone's in-ring work because you want to prolong their career. But the way they're tweaking her character, I think it's a little too domesticated for me. A little too domesticated. I don't agree with you, but this deserves mention for creativity. Royal Soldier says that Bianca's now, she's the blandest, the softest, the weakest, the kindest, the nicest. That's pretty spot on. That's pretty damn spot on. Pretty spot on. So, now we're in the back once again, and Jey Uso approaches Jimmy Uso and wants to know if Jimmy Uso meant what he said. Again, is this high school? Did you mean what you said? You don't want to be treated like a bitch? Who wants to be treated like a bitch? Jimmy gets in Jay's face, talking about the reason Roman Reigns Universal Champion, and then talking about the idea of them being tag team champions. But meanwhile, we see Roman Reigns in the locker room once again like this. Segment number 4. Dominik Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. They keep hyping up the first father and son tag team champions. Don't know if it'll happen in WrestleMania Backlash, but it is happening. We've talked about this for several weeks now. WWE is going to take advantage of this historic moment. Ray and Dom, the first father and son tag team champions for WWE. It's happening. It's just a matter of time. And it looks like it could be happening much sooner than later. So what happens? Dolph Ziggler, little cocky to Dominik, get out of my ring, let the adults fight and everything. They end up having a match. Dolph Ziggler dominated most of the match. And then Dominik countered a suplex, the fruit roll-up, and the win. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. They are going to be heavyweight champions. They recapped Tamina and Natty from last week. Tamina's appearance on Talking Smack, that very passionate promo. I also believe they will be women's champions on SmackDown. It's going to be a very emotional moment for Tamina. And I'm happy for her. They showed some of the old commercials as well. Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the ice cream, Ico Pro. But again, it just didn't have that real nostalgic feel, to be honest with you. Paul Heyman approaches Roman Reigns in the locker room. Roman Reigns told Paul Heyman to bring him his cousin. Paul Heyman asks, which cousin? Duh. And he says, you know what I mean. Segment number 5. Tamina versus Reginald. First, you had a backstage interview with Reginald with Nia and Shayna, and Reginald's going to cleanse himself. He cleansed nothing. All we saw was Reginald's Cirque du Soleil skills. He would climb a rope, do a flip. He'd climb the turnbuckle, do a flip. He'd do another flip. He'd dodge, he'd flip, flippy, flippy. I almost think Reginald now is there to be a mock of the flippy in AEW. WWE does flippy as well. But this was a joke. Tamina finally gets her hands on Reginald. Nia and Shayna hit the ring. DQ finish. Natty hits the ring. Natty gets her ass handed to her. And Nia and Shayna leave. And then we find out they're going to get the tag title match next week. Fine. Then we had the only moment today that made me feel a little nostalgic. The 10-man tag match, the backstage promos with each team, it didn't give me a retro SmackDown feel. And I thought about it, and it didn't even give me a retro Survivor Series feel. It gave me a retro Saturday night's main event feel. And it was a fun match. I mean, you know, I loved when Kevin Owens did the frog splash to the outside on Sami Zayn. But in the end, you had Chad Gable, Otis, Corbin, Zayn, and Cruz. They defeated Kevin Owens, the Street Profits, Biggie, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Basically what happened was you had back and forth match the entire time. I think it was Montez Ford that did a dive outside the ring over the ropes. And while they were all rolling in the ring, I think it was Nakamura and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn makes the blind tag to King Corbin. Nakamura has no idea that Corbin is the legal man. End of days, 1, 2, 3. Nakamura gets pinned. Yeah, it was a filler match. It was still a fun match. I mean, but again, the entire night felt like it was only about trying to build Cesaro versus Roman Reigns. And the recycled goofy shit. Acknowledge me, family member bitch. Acknowledge me. I'm the tribal chief. Acknowledge me, acknowledge me, acknowledge me. So, the final segment of the night, Roman Reigns is in the ring. 6 segments. He's in the ring. He wants to know, Jimmy, you're with us. You got to acknowledge me. And like a baby, Jimmy walks out. I'm not acknowledging him. And you have Roman Reigns in the ring with Jey Uso. First, they show Hell in a Cell when Jey Uso lost to Roman Reigns and the brothers were hugging and, you know, they got pretty much their ass handed to them. But Jimmy Uso refuses to acknowledge him as the tribal chief. Jey Uso leaves the ring to try to, you know, talk some sense into Jimmy Uso. And here comes Cesaro. And again, you go back and you listen to Michael Cole. It just felt so lackluster. Cesaro nails Roman Reigns. Jey Uso hits the ring. He gets knocked on his ass by Cesaro. And Jimmy Uso, he's deciding, what should I do? What should I do? Fuck it, I'll hit the ring. And he gets his ass handed to him as well. We go off the air. Cesaro dominant on all 3 people. Again, I like Cesaro. But this is what happens a couple of years ago, several years ago, more years ago than you think, when everybody's holding Cesaro section signs and you do nothing. It's the same shit like Mirdo and others. Oh, no, they're not chanting Rusev Day because they're into it and they like you. They're chanting because they're mocking you. So you could almost imagine the same idea with Cesaro. They're not all holding Cesaro section signs because they're supporting you. They're doing it because they're mocking you. I know that's not the case. But that's what happens, WWE, when you take too long. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that somebody has seen the light and now thinks Cesaro is a main eventer. He's a main eventer by default. That's WWE's fault. That's not Cesaro's fault. There's nobody's fault. You know what the outcome is going to be at WrestleMania Backlash. The only reason why we're into it is because we know it's going to be a good match. And we got to see who interferes, who gets involved. But take note, this is 2 weeks in a row now, Adam Pearce not on SmackDown. We noticed that last week. Keep note of it again. So, that was your SmackDown episode. You know, not a bad episode. But as far as hyping up this old school stuff all week, I think you'll all ask yourself this question. What was the point of this? What was the point of this? I mean, if I was Roman Reigns in storyline, it's his show. He doesn't want Daniel Bryan. He should have. I don't want no old school shit on my show. I still don't understand why they did. I mean, I know why they did it. Try to get some extra attention to the show. But you look at it tonight. I mean, playing a couple of. What was the purpose? Was tonight the official anniversary of something with SmackDown? Talk about just random trying to get somebody to watch. And if I was a casual fan and I tuned in tonight and I'm like, it's all this, there's nothing nostalgic about it. And the only person you could bring is, nope. Wasn't a fast recap, Austin. We're already 51 minutes in. I know I had a little talk about, the Brian Pillman doc a little bit and the ratings, but, the weekend is here. I'm a little tired. Oh, if you go on my Twitter, disaster today. I told you all yesterday I was supposed to get a new mattress today and new, adjustable frame and all that. So I had to get up extra early this morning to make sure everything was clean and everything was ready. And they showed up, big slit in the side of the mattress, and the frame doesn't work. They had to take it back, and no mattress, no frame right now. Got to sleep on a fucking floor. I kid you not. I posted the pictures on Twitter. So yours truly is not going to have a great night. So I want to try to, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to drug myself to sleep. Nothing illegal. I have prescribed Ambien. But I'm taking an Ambien and a melatonin, and honestly, an hour from now, I want to be crazy weekend coming up. So, very quickly, Dark Side of the Ring, Brian Pillman. I'm just going to be brief about it. There's no reason for me to do play-by-play recaps. Lee, who's tuning in right now, RCWR, shout out to him, did a great recap of the whole episode. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's got a great recap of it. But I watched both parts. I loved it. It was a very sad episode, obviously. It was, as I said earlier, it was spectacularly sad. That's what it was. I mean, anyone out there that has followed Pillman's career and his tragedy, there wasn't much that you didn't know about already. You knew about his surgeries. You knew about his health issues. You knew, unfortunately, about his first wife's suicide, Rochelle Pillman. I didn't know the details of some of the verbal abuse. And I tell you, you talk about mental illness. That was mental illness, part of my phrasing of it, on steroids. You see on social media, I mean, you see some people like Nakamura and others who are bullied and put down to the point of suicide. And that's what happened with Rochelle Pillman. When Brian Pillman met Melanie, and they wouldn't even allow, Rochelle Pillman to see her daughter Brittany. And then because Brian had the money, this is why I absolutely hated Melanie Pillman at the beginning of the show. She's talking about how they just kept spending money on lawyers for all of these actions to go after Rochelle Pillman, so they could gain custody of Brittany. And I don't remember exactly the words she said, but the final nail in the coffin is when Rochelle Pillman called Brian Pillman's house. He was out of town, and Melanie answered the phone and just basically said that even your own mother says you're not fit to care about your own daughter, something like that. And she called her mother up, Rochelle Pillman, and then shot herself in the head. So that was just sad. Melanie Pillman, I mean, we always remember that night the night after Pillman passed away on Raw. And then they didn't even mention the Brian Pillman Memorial Show. I mean, we all bought memorabilia from it. We bought a shirt. I had the Pillman shirt. You know, if you remember the one that WWF had put out, I had bought the tape. They had charity events. They raised a decent amount of money for Pillman's family. And we find out that Melanie Pillman basically spent all the money on drugs. She remarried, and all the money that was raised for Brian Pillman Jr.'s college fund, his school fund, was spent on his stepfather's business, and he abused him as well. And it was just a really, really sad documentary. The one thing you come out of it is Brian Pillman loved his kids, did everything for his kids. There was an extreme amount of guilt, obviously, by Brian especially, because of Rochelle committing suicide. He felt that him and Melanie drove her to suicide, which they did. There's no question. But, you know, we had Brittany on there. We had Danny Pillman, as well as other daughter, Brian, obviously. Linda Pillman, Brian Pillman's sister, she seems like the glue that keeps the family together. She came off wonderful. I really appreciated Kim Wood, who was the Cincinnati Bengals strength and conditioning coach, and he was a very close friend of Brian Pillman. Dave Meltzer was a good friend of Brian Pillman as well. You know, and it was nice to see them acknowledge Dave Meltzer because his friendship was strong. I know a lot of people out there don't like Dave Meltzer, but it was not about it wasn't about rubbing it in people's face that Dave Meltzer was on. He was a legit friend. Made me reminisce the ECW stuff. I mean, I started my hotline in 1997. And, you know, right before that is when Pillman showed up in ECW and, you know, did everything he did. And I still, to this day, how many times you've heard me talk about Brian Pillman's old hotline? What was it, 1-900-909-PILL? Shh, you might hear something you're not supposed to. I mean, the guy was a genius. The guy was an absolute genius. Eric Bischoff was on there as well. They were talking about how Brian Pillman actually convinced Eric Bischoff to let him out of his contract so he could go around and, you know, say that Bischoff actually fired him and build his career. And then WCW would bring him back once his worth went up. And then, unfortunately, he had the Hummer accident, and that was it. Once he had the accident with the Hummer, and you hear about, I mean, we knew about the surgeries already. I mean, we remember the interview he did shortly after that. I don't know if the interview was with The Torch, but I do remember that interview. I remember covering it on my hotline. So, yeah, VJ, yes. As far as lines the whole night, Kim Wood's one line is the one I'll always remember. When Brian Pillman, and we'll move on because I could see that a lot of people, it's not that you're getting bored, but, you know, the special only did do, 250,000 viewers, 272. A lot of people saw it online, obviously, but this is not something that's going to be like the major discussion everywhere. So, you know, but it's worth chatting a couple of moments about it. But when they were talking about Brian Pillman negotiating with WWF and Vince McMahon, Kim Wood was asked, what do you think about Vince? And Vince, basically he called Vince a whore. And he said, what do you do with whores? You fuck them. And that's what Brian Pillman did. He treated Vince McMahon like a whore. I mean, it was a very powerful line in the show. It was really good. I mean, a lot of clips, a lot of comments from Steve Austin as well, Jim Ross. Like I said, you might learn a little bit more detail as far as what happened with Melanie afterwards. And you feel bad for Brian Pillman Jr. because he never grew up, being able to spend time with his father. His stepfather treated him like shit. Gives you an extra added appreciation and, fondness for Brian Pillman Jr., Brian Pillman's sister, daughters. It was very powerful. It's definitely worth a view. I would definitely check it out. So, I haven't checked out the new T-shirts yet. I mean, I have a couple. I still have the one that WWF put out right after, and I have two of these, obviously. You know, the Rogue Horseman takes it to the extreme. You know, this is an ECW shirt. Nobody, I think, realized that even when Steve Austin was wearing it the night of the infamous Raw segment with the gun. This is an ECW shirt. No, actually, wait a minute. Steve Austin was wearing a Pitbull shirt. That's right. That's right. A lot of you may not even know this. Steve Austin, on the segment of Raw, when he showed up at Pillman's house and Pillman had the gun, Steve Austin, I'm 99.9% certain he was wearing a Pitbull's shirt from ECW. Pretty cool. So, moving on, let's talk about the AEW and NXT quarter-hour ratings. I will tell you, not major surprises this week, but some of the usual suspects, you know, had the dip in their numbers. Overall, though, very impressive. Thank you to everyone. Thank you. And I know on Twitter, you know, I don't use Twitter much, and obviously that's why I don't get much, you know, feedback, other than when I post good announcements. I appreciate all of you that enjoy the positive announcements, you know, but thank you to everybody who reminded me. Wednesday night, I made the prediction that AEW was going to, and if you listen to it back, I actually said 1,097,000. Don't ask me why. I'm sorry. I said 1,100,000. It came out 1,097,000, so I was off by 3,000 viewers. I have to go to my urologist next week. I have to get more tests done, and then they will determine if I have the C word. I'm trying not to think about it, and will not talk about it on the shows again until I get the answer. Very concerned. My family's very concerned. You know, you don't go up 2 digits on a PSA in 1 year unless something's wrong. So we'll see what happens. Try not to think about it. So anyway, thank you to everyone who reminded me. I didn't even think about it yesterday. But yeah, I was within 3,000 of the viewers. So AEW did a spectacular number. As you will see, they had a steady climb for most of the night. There were 2 quarters where they dropped about 100,000 viewers. But Blood and Guts, that match itself, delivered phenomenally. And I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to really get into a rant about it, but again, you know, if you go over the years, we've had people take big falls off the top. Shane McMahon, you know, Rikishi, Canyon, others, and yes, some of them come off goofy. We've had ones where, you know, WWE the last couple of years, Braun Strowman and others, they go through comfortable padding. But because it's an AEW show, all the AEW haters have to go out of their way to make fun of Jericho's fall. And honestly, seriously, get laid. Seriously, if you don't even have the balls to show your face and show what you look like in the year 2020, not in what it was in 1981 when you were 3, you know, you have no merit whatsoever. You got to see, especially the ringside goofs, ringside news goofs. They'll hide behind a ringside news logo. That's what I think of you. So anyway, let's get into NXT's rating first. I'm a little disappointed that Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott didn't get better numbers than they did, because by far that was my favorite match of NXT. It was phenomenal. Especially that it bled into quarter 2. I would have expected more viewers to stay tuned, but it did not end up that way. But let's get into it. NXT, Hour 1, 730,000 viewers. Hour 2, 792 for a composite of 761,000 viewers. Quarter 1, Leon Ruff, versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. That did 737,000 viewers. Quarter 2, the finish between Ruff and Scott. The segment where Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory showed up at William Regal's office with Scarlett Bordeaux. And then Cameron Grimes versus Asher Hale. That dropped 42,000 viewers to 695,000. The trend. No, Ken, I'll get into Super Chats as soon as I'm done with this NXT rating. So once again, a Cameron Grimes quarter hour goes down. You see the trend. Went down 42,000 viewers. Quarter 3, Frankie Monet, Casey Catanzaro, and Caden Carter, they were in the back. Frankie Monet basically trash talking him a little bit. Then you had the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. That quarter hour increased 24,000 viewers to 719,000. The end of that match, and good. It's nice once to see the Grizzled Young Veterans get an increase because their match with Ciampa and Thatcher I enjoyed tremendously. Still have not clicked with the GYV. But the second half of their match, and then you had, the second half of their match, and then you had Regal, Gargano, and Theory. That increased 53,000 viewers to 772,000. Now, the quarter that everybody wants to know, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux hit the ring. Kyle O'Reilly enters. Pete Dunne enters. Finn Balor enters. Big brawl. Austin Theory, brains all scrambled right now. Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano laying out Karrion Kross. Big wild brawl. How did that quarter hour do? It increased 37,000 viewers to 809,000. I think a little bit of a disappointment if you think about it, but almost the highest quarter hour rating of the night. The final quarter only did 2,000 viewers better. So that quarter hour, second best of the night. Quarter 6, Saray, her match versus Zeta Ramir. That interesting segment with Imperium talking to Walter on Zoom. And then LA Knight versus Jake Atlas. That quarter hour dropped 16,000 viewers to 793,000. Quarter 7, which was mostly interview segments, Tony Storm, Legado del Fantasma, Kushida. Next week, you and me, one-on-one. Raquel Gonzalez, Mercedes Martinez split screen, which I loved. On Patreon Mission, I had a great conversation that was obviously pre-recorded. And there was one point where Mercedes Martinez, it looked like she put Raquel Gonzalez looked like a deer in headlights. When she talked about her being cookie cutter and going up and down the road and paving the way and wrestled 20 years and you're a cookie cutter, I don't think Raquel Gonzalez honestly expected that. I mean, obviously, they're just in character, but you could see where they edited it and then they went to a different camera angle to try to cover up. And then Raquel suddenly went on a tear, putting down Mercedes Martinez. I liked it still nonetheless. But that quarter hour, and then Cameron Grimes with Ted DiBiase, that quarter hour dropped 38,000 viewers. Has Cameron Grimes had one quarter hour where it increased? I think every non-wrestling segment so far, and most of his matches, the quarter hours have gone down. It's amazing. Every non-wrestling segment, since he got the money, every quarter hour has always been less. It's pretty wild when you think about that. Near's asking me, did I see Cross's interview where he wants to fight Walter? Honestly, dude, I also saw the tweets where teasing him and Cena, him and, Brock Lesnar, him and Randy Savage, him and Jesus Christ. That's all to get conversation. I don't buy into any of it. It's fun to fantasize and think about it, but, people actually, when I saw people actually reporting his news thinking that John Cena is going to take on Karrion Kross, Please, sell me some of that bait so I could hook some people in as well. So, anyway, main event. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell beating Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. That final quarter hour jumped 56,000 viewers to 811,000. Yeah, Joe, I know it's the wrong decade. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. They could hype up all these matches they want. It's just hype. It's just to get people talking. So NXT, not too bad, but still, unopposed, these numbers should be better. Next week is going to be an interesting week because now you have Karrion Kross back in play, Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly. We'll see if Adam Cole goes back. We don't know what's going to happen with Roderick Strong. And there's a few other names being tossed around. So let's see what that rating is next week. Next week's going to be it's really going to tell the tale. Because now you'll be on Tuesday 5 weeks. Now you have some big names back. Let's see if you get back some viewers that are not tuning in on Tuesday, even though you're unopposed. So anyway, let's see. A couple of shout-outs, and then we'll get into the AEW viewers ratings. Ted Turner, do I think Fox has buyer's remorse? Or do they like what SmackDown is doing on that time slot? My honest opinion, I think Fox is satisfied. I think they may have thought that they were going to get a little bit of a better number. But overall, comparable to other shows on a Friday night, SmackDown is not done bad. And SmackDown, and look, this is not earth-shattering news. You and I know this for over a year now. SmackDown is the flagship show now. Raw will always be perceived that way because Raw debuted in 1993. But the fact of the matter is SmackDown now is WWE's flagship show. And I personally think overall, I think they're satisfied. Might be a little disappointed with some of the numbers, but I think overall, I don't believe buyer's remorse at all. Just like I don't think there's any buyer's remorse whatsoever with TNT and AEW. Sure, especially WWE, their ratings should be a little bit better. But no, I don't think there's any buyer's remorse whatsoever. Dream 101, kiss your favorite subscriber. Well, you know what? Since Chris hooked me up with these, that's what I have to say. I don't have a favorite subscriber. I appreciate all of you out there, and that's not pandering. I thank you all for believing in what I do and taking your time out to hang out and, talking wrestling and others, especially on Thursdays. I mean, it's very much appreciated. And again, I'm only on here for a little over a year, and it's only just begun. I appreciate, and even when some people compare me to other podcasts out there that have been on YouTube 5-10 years already, I'm a little bit flattered. But again, I always got to remind everyone that about 80% of everyone who tunes into my stuff only access the audio only, more for convenience than anything else. But, as long as I always have that audio-only option, of course my numbers are going to be less as far as video goes, but that's okay. As long as you're all having a good time, I'm having a good time. And that's not pandering. That is 100% legit. So thank you, Dream, for that. I appreciate that. So, all right. I just looked at my pictures. I forgot to cover something on SmackDown. I said earlier about keep Bayley's hair in the back of your mind. We could show it now. When Reginald was interviewed in the back by Kayla Braxton, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler were with Reginald. And Reginald cuts his promo and everything. And when Nia was walking away, she said, "Bye, Hillary." Now, this was Kayla Braxton tonight. Now, when she made the bye Hillary reference by Hillary. I think obviously that was Hillary from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I personally think she looks more like the girl from Saved by the Bell when she played the stripper. I'm just talking about the hair, not talking about outfits or bodies. What was the girl from Saved by the Bell that was in that infamous stripper movie? I thought that Kayla Braxton's hair looked more like her. Not Hillary from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I'm waiting for some of this. Elizabeth Berkley. Thank you very much, VJ. Elizabeth Berkley. I thought Kayla Braxton's hair looked more like Elizabeth Berkley. But then I said, you know what? Let's put them side by side. So this was Kayla Braxton tonight. This was Bayley tonight. And this is Hillary Banks. I don't know. I don't think either one of them's hair looks like Hillary at all. I honestly thought it looked more like Elizabeth Berkley as far as her hair. But yeah, that's the topic tonight was hair a little bit. Now, you know what? I'm not trying to be a pervert here, and I'm not trying to be a creep. And I'm not going to do the FMK. I'm not going to say those words. But if you could pick one from this group, just one. I'm not going to say what you're going to do. Nothing terrible. Just maybe go out for coffee, diner, walk on the beach. Whatever you want to think in your head, just don't express it publicly. Who would you choose of these three on the screen right now? Kayla Braxton, Bayley, or Hillary Banks? A little curious. Very curious. So you could just, now like I said, there's only like an 8-second delay, so that's why. Okay, so we got one vote for Kayla, Hillary Banks, Bayley, Hillary, Bayley, Kayla Braxton, Hillary. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, a lot more, you know, it's actually mixed. You know what? It's actually Kayla and Hillary. Couple of votes for Bayley, but mostly I think Hillary actually takes it, if you actually look at it. For me, honestly, I'm not going to lie, I was never a big fan of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I always was attracted to Hillary Banks' style, her look. I thought that she was the shit back in the day. I liked Hillary Banks, so... Anyway, I would have been piss broke if I ever dated somebody like Hillary Banks. But, yeah. But anyway, Big T said that he first checked out my show, was found on iTunes, and it was the one where I told the story about how my grandmother took me to the show. I was able to meet Backlund, and I had dinner with the stars. I've told that story like 10 times over the years, so I don't know which time period it was, but yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That was a true story. You know, it wasn't fun breaking my arm, but trust me, when I went to school, the day after that event and being able to eat with them, you know, showing everybody my cast, and they're like, ooh, and they got all the autographs on there, and he signed my magazine. But I'm sorry for showing this again. I think some of you might be getting tired, but for me, as far as getting an autograph after an incident, this is my favorite one of all time. This is my favorite one of all time. That I hang out in Philly with Terry Funk and Mick Foley when they were the WWF Tag Team Champions. I got to eat lunch with them. I didn't have to pay for it. I ate lunch with them. And then I was invited to be on the shoot interview with them. And then on my way home from Philly that same day, I got into a road rage incident that I almost got arrested. And then somehow, I don't remember how Terry Funk found out about it, but about 10 days later, I get an envelope in the mail, and it's from Texas. I open it up, and it's from Terry Funk. And there's a couple of photos in there, which I still have. And this one that says, had a great time in Philly, stay out of jail. Come on, man, that's awesome. Freaking awesome. I got to show you some of the other ones. He wrote a 2-page letter to me when I first got engaged. A little embarrassed since the marriage didn't work out or anything like that, but getting that from Terry Funk, it is a pretty cool thing. So, Yeah, that's why my nickname was the Funker. When I did my hotline back in 97, and even to this day, sometimes somebody will say, hey, Funker, what's going on? That was my nickname because Terry Funk was always my favorite wrestler. So let's get into the AEW ratings. Now, keep in mind, the last 3 quarters are blood and guts. So overall, you will see they kept their viewers. There was no drop. AEW, hour 1,040,000 viewers. Hour 2, 1,154,000 viewers for a composite of 1,097,000 viewers. Opening quarter. Interesting. Opening quarter. Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And then the interference by Gallows and Anderson and the Young Bucks. That quarter hour drew 1,097,000 viewers. Exactly what their rating was for the night. Quarter 2, Cody Rhodes versus Wwe Dat. That dropped 95,000 viewers to 1,002,000. Wasn't the lowest rating of the night, though. Quarter 3, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Darby Allin in the Boondocks. Darby taking that stupid fall down the concrete steps. And then Britt Baker versus Julia Hart. That increased 79,000 viewers to 1,081,000. They got most of their viewers right back. Quarter 4, Taz's promo in the back, analyzing Christian. SCU versus The Acclaimed versus Jurassic Express versus the Varsity Blondes. That quarter hour dropped 98,000 viewers to 983,000. This is the only quarter of the night under 1 million, and those were the only 2 quarters that had a drop the whole night. Quarter 5, the segment with Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy, Miro's promo, and then the hype for Yuji Nagata taking on Jon Moxley next week for the IWGP United States Championship. That quarter hour increased 48,000 viewers to 1,031,000. Then we get into blood and guts. Quarter 6, 7, and 8. Quarter 6 did 1,177,000 viewers, a jump of 146,000 viewers. So obviously, most people were ready for blood and guts. They tuned in at the 6th quarter hour. Quarter 7, it only increased 22,000 viewers, but they maintained their audience. Quarter 7 did 1,199,000 viewers. And then quarter 8, the final quarter of the night, the conclusion, the finale of Blood and Guts and the aftermath, that quarter hour increased 11,000 viewers to 1,210,000. So overall, they increased about 170,000 viewers between the beginning and the end of Blood and Guts. So they have to be thrilled with this number. Excellent job by AEW. Again, when you watch wrestling since 1979 and see a lot of corny falls over the years, and my God, if we could probably spend an episode, if we thought about it beforehand, we probably could spend a whole episode talking about spots of people falling from large heights. From the Big Show falling off the side of a building, which we obviously didn't see. What was it, Jim Ross or Kane falling in fire? Come on, man. Kane fell in fire. I mean, there's been some pretty corny doozies over the years. And people are going to stop to really rip the Jericho spot. I think some people are being really, really shallow about this and forgetting some of the dumb shit that we've seen over the years. So, I could get past that because wrestling is entertainment. The spot could have been a little better, without a doubt. But people, spending still time on this, I think that's not needed. I don't think that's needed. I want to give a special shout out to Rain Entertainment. His uncle is battling prostate cancer, and absolutely, I will say a prayer for him. Don't super chat this, but what's his first name, if you don't mind giving it? If not, I totally understand. Like I said, I don't want to bring it up, but, I have an issue right now that's very concerning. The good news is it looks like, we figured out what this pain is. I have a torn diaphragm. I'm going for tests this Wednesday. But this coming Friday, a week from today, I'm going to my urologist because prostate cancer runs in my family. My father's had it, my grandfather, my uncle, God rest his soul, my grandfather, God rest his soul. On my father's side, everybody has had it. And without getting into a whole story about it, you know what PSA number is? My PSA jumped almost 2 digits in about 13 months. If it goes up 1 digit, it's concerning. When you go up 2 and you have a family history of it, there's a problem. My CAT scan and ultrasound revealed an enlarged prostate, which has never showed up in a report before. And, I feel pretty much okay. So, whatever it is, I'm going to deal with it. My grandfather lived to be, I think, 92. My father, thank God, is still with us. My uncle passed away at a young age. But, my grandfather and my father, they lived, one's still here. So they were able to beat it. So I'm pretty confident, but still it rattles your brain. It rattles your brain. But Rain, my thoughts are with you, my friend. And I will absolutely say a prayer, without a doubt. So I hope he kicks it seriously. Jeremiah, that's his name. Oh, stage 4. Still, he's definitely in our prayers, without a doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, I hate cancer. I've known people, just nothing you could do about it. I always fear it. Like, people have said to me over the years, like, if it's your time to go, how do you want to go? I want to go in my sleep. I got friends of mine, no, I want to go violently. I want to go this way. I'm like, you nuts? The last thing I want to have happen or see anyone is to go through that, and that's not fun. That's why, like I say, a lot of people don't understand. When I had that cancer scare 2 years ago, and it was something else, it rattles your brain, and it makes you take a step back and think about what's important in life. And then you're dealing with, like, internet bullshit and, like, nasty messages and people stab me. And I'm like, no, man, I got to enjoy my family, my fiance, all of you, what my hobbies I enjoy doing, and block out the noise, block out the negativity as much as I can. So my thoughts are with you, man. And, yeah, I've told cancer to fuck off more than once, Sam. I don't know if cancer is listening, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, wanted to just talk about one last thing before we go. Botchamania. And I'm be very respectful about this. Botchamania's YouTube account was terminated. It is back. Anybody that knows that is very difficult to get your account back once it's terminated. Now, I have explained before when a couple of weeks ago, everybody was blaming AEW for all these copyright flags on YouTube. And I explained the process of these bots that are run on YouTube. And what happens is these companies submit copyrighted content to YouTube. It gets saved and stored. And when you promote content, what happens is it goes through a program and they see if anything that you stream mirrors what someone has submitted. And if it matches up, that creator tells YouTube what you want to have done. So it's all automated. So I'm watching all of these ridiculously stupid goofs on social media, ripping AEW, blaming AEW, I hate AEW. And they don't understand that someone in AEW is not sitting there going, Now, if AEW is to blame at all, AEW submits to YouTube content that they don't want duplicated. But it's bots that run this stuff. Wasn't AEW closing accounts. That's what a lot of people either, and you know what? I think a lot of them did understand that and knew that already. But if they knew that and they took that stance, then they have no leverage to curse out AEW. So they play victim online. And as I said before, and again, haters will hate when I say this, but in the end, I am once again proven right that YouTube is a private company. And I've been doing this since 1997. Other than the controversy using ECW's letters when I promoted my bus trips for Hardcore Homecoming, and you know the story with that, to counter WWE, I bought the trademark for ECW. If you go, I'm not going to tell the story today so everyone could rest easy, but if you go check the trademark history of ECW, you'll see my name there. I bought ECW in 2005. And when I bought it, and I went to WWE's legal team and I said, here. They said, okay, you can plug it. But then Mike Johnson, that prick, fucked everything up, so I didn't do anything for Hardcore Homecoming. But the thing is, unless you are prepared to retain a lawyer, go after YouTube, or go after the creator of content, my advice to you is do not put people's content on your programming for a profit. I've been doing this since 97. And if I want to use content, ask permission. In the past, I have emailed legal department at WWE. I have emailed legal department at TNA. And there is a process that you go through to get permission. Sometimes, yeah, go ahead. Sometimes, we have to decline this one. Anybody ever stop and think why on This Week in Wrestling History that I did for 2 years, all that audio content, why none of it was ever flagged? Because a lot of it I asked for permission. You submit a form. You put a request in. Some outlets out there will want money in return. And when anybody said we'd like some money, that's why you never heard Ring of Honor stuff on there and other things, because I'm not paying him. So the thing is, if you want to do a show, especially something for profit where you make a couple of dollars off of it, do not use other people's content without their permission. Because let me tell you something. And again, I'm not trying to start shit and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm just going to throw it right out there. All of these people that are telling content creators, oh, you could use it. It's fair use. No, you're right. You're right. They ain't going to pay for your legal fees. They're not going to pay if your channel gets screwed. They're not going to represent you in court. They are expressing an opinion more than anything else. And yes, some people have done phenomenal jobs explaining fair use. Mish did an episode talking about fair use, and everything he said was spot on. He's the exception to the rule. But at the end of the day, if YouTube wants to take down your shit because they want to, unless you're prepared to get a lawyer and go to court, you have no legs to stand on. And when these people do watch-alongs and they're showing clips in the background or audio playing in the background, this and that, you're just playing Russian roulette of getting flagged. Again, I'm going to be in my 25th year doing this stuff. I don't get no copyright flags. I don't get no takedowns. Since I've been on YouTube for 15 months, the only, and I brought this up before, the only time YouTube ever flagged me for something, as ridiculous as this sounds, is AEW Heels. When they announced AEW Heels and they showed that video, the promo, and you saw Brandy Rhodes' feet walking by, the heels walking by, and they were announcing AEW Heels, I went on my show and I praised the shit out of it. Everybody else was saying, oh, it's a money grab. And I said, $50 a year, that's not a money grab. And it was a cool idea for all the women to hang out and have fun. I defended the shit out of it, but I played the clip. About 4 or 5 months after I did that episode, I get a notice that I have to either remove the footage or mute it. And my first reaction was, 4 or 5 months later? Then I realized AEW had just the musician, the person who did the music for the video thing, that musician just submitted that content to YouTube. So it became an algorithm in their system. It became a file in their system. So what happens? YouTube randomly scans everybody's files, and if any content matches that audio from that music, they flagged it. It wasn't AEW trying to fuck yours truly or a musician trying to screw me over. The music matched the owner's material. So what did I do? I muted it. That's it. When I did the watch-along for the Royal Rumble, the only watch-along I've ever done, I did it for the Royal Rumble, there was one moment where you could faintly hear in the background the buzzer for when someone came out for the Royal Rumble. I streamed on Facebook that night also. Facebook sent me an alert that my video cannot be seen in the United States because of a request from WWE. I listened to the clip back, and I'm not lying when I say this. I'm going to do a beep sound right now. This is how loud it was. That's how loud it was. I didn't go on Twitter and complain. I didn't say, oh, WWE, you're fucked up and sad. I put an appeal in, and I said, look, listen to the clip. There's virtually no sound. But if you want me to take it off, I'll take it off. You know what WWE said? No problem. And the video was back. I think some people sometimes want shit to happen to them because it gets them attention. I remember there was this one girl that was doing a podcast that was doing all these watch-alongs for fucking channel members, subscribers, where you got to pay money. And she's using footage, and it got flagged. You flagged to me. And what happens? The white knights, for the most part, the white knights that all thought, oh, look at, nice, sexy lady. If it was a 55-year-old guy, nobody would have came to that person's aid. But, everybody running in defense, they know what they're talking about. No, if you want to have paid content, do not use other people's content without their permission. And even for my shows, there was a couple of YouTube channels back in the day that were using my content. TV Tracks and Epic Sports were the only two channels that I said, go ahead, use it. A lot of people don't understand. My content, I have a corporation. And I pay insurance on it. I pay taxes every year. I have a corporation. And everything I do is under that corporation. So everything that you've heard since 1997, I own. Whether people have been on it as guests or hosts, I own that stuff. And when I started creating a channel, I contacted every YouTuber. You put one clip here, one clip there. I'm not going to bitch or complain about it. But some people that had 50, 100 episodes, I said, look, you got to do me a favor and take them down. And what happened 99% of the time? They never answered me. Just left it there. So what happened? I put requests in from YouTube, and the channels ultimately got shut down. Then after they got shut down, oh, that's fucked up, Don Tony. I'm like, I emailed you 3 times. Take the stuff down. You ignored it. So now I put in a request, and you're done. It's not my fault. Don't use other people's shit unless you ask permission. And here's another piece of advice. Trust me, take it from someone who's been doing it for 25 years that has no troubles with it. When you ask for permission, you do not verbally do it. You don't do it through a DM or a text message. You have to spend 10 minutes of your time acting semi-professional. Some outlets out there have a form that you have to fill out. of what you want to use and why you want to use it. If you're too lazy to fill out the form, then go play Russian roulette. But if your channel goes down, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Botchamania is one of the rare exceptions that got taken down from YouTube, but then was allowed back up because their YouTube's bots were flagging all his stuff. Botchamania had permission. So his account is back. But I'm telling you, don't be lazy for this stuff. Because if you get burned, you get flagged, you have nobody to blame but yourself. And the person that had the original content, they're not the bad guy or the bad girl in this. You use other people's content, you get flagged. It's only a matter of time that it's going to happen. And, I see all these people that it happens to, and it's like, oh, fuck AEW, fuck this person. Oh, this person, I can't fuck me. Look at I have no view. No, man, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. I can't tell you how many times I filled out that fucking form to WWE. You mind if I stream this and stream that? Sometimes I got no answer. And I did it anyway. I'm not going to lie, I did it anyway. But I've had a few times where I sent it in because I knew I was going to be using large cloud. Never video, audio only. And that's it. So you could listen to people out there with fair use and everything else. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, if YouTube or a creator wants to flag your shit that you're using other people's stuff and they flag you because they don't like you, too bad. Too bad. Unless you're willing to go pay a lawyer to fight them in court, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Plain and simple. The people that are responsible are the people that... Now, there's always errors. When you depend on computers too much, that's asking for things to go wrong. That's what happened with Botchamania. AEW is not trying to shut him down. YouTube, with the footage on there, their bots flagged a bunch of things that shouldn't have been flagged. Look, when I was doing a DTKC show, and you remember that music that I used up until August of last year, I paid Epidemic Sound to use that music. The first 2 episodes that I put on YouTube, it got flagged from YouTube saying that this is music owned by Epidemic Sound. I had to contact YouTube and show them proof that I licensed the music. No problem. That's it. It was fine. So, again, you got to do a little work. If you want to use other people's stuff, the respectful thing to do is to ask them. It's respectful. And if you get permission, you keep that proof. This way, if you ever run into a problem, you could say, here's my proof. And most of the time, it'll get cleared up. That's it. It's not rocket science. So, anyway, Sam, I'm going to jet out of here. I'm not doing it. Oh, when am I doing it? I thought you thought I was doing a 12-hour show tonight. Soon, very soon. I purchased the Zoom software, and I purchased the one where you can have like a ton of people on at the same time. And next week, I'm going to spend a little time. I was going to do it this week, but obviously some doctor stuff and other things got in the way. But next week, I'm going to get familiar with that software. And when I do that, I want to have a bunch of people come on as well. So, very soon. I mean, I will announce it a couple of weeks in advance so I can, hype it up and prepare everyone and prepare myself. But, yeah, we will be doing a marathon show. And, I've thought of the ideas of, donating some stuff to charity. But then I get people in my ear, they're like, no, man, you fucking work for 12 hours and you bust your ass with this stuff, enjoy it. So, yeah, I guess I got to enjoy it a little bit more. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, Chris, thank you for this. I kept them on the whole night. My ears don't hurt. And for any of you out there that are aspiring podcasters looking for a good pair of headphones, Audio-Technica ATH M50X. Pretty damn good headphones. I don't know if the audio sounds different tonight in any way, but because I had the headphones, I was tweaking some of the settings, so I have a feeling you might hear a noticeable difference with the audio. I still got more tweaking to do, but, little by little, little at a time. Yeah, Andrew has these headphones. Yeah, they're apparently very popular. And, no, it's not going to be members only. I mean, if I do a 12-hour show, it's going to be open to everyone. Obviously, the family gets a little bit of first dibs. And by the way, I got to do this. Shout out to our awesome elite channel members, La Nostra Famiglia. Something tells me Havili's name is going to pop up somewhere on there, and a few others. And then on the top are my YouTube channel subscribers as well. These are very, very important people, and I want to thank them. And again, tomorrow I'll be doing a Q&A for all you guys and gals, and you have still some time to submit some questions or the voicemail. I will be opening the voicemail to everyone, even if you're not a subscriber. Right now, we're just testing the waters with it. I do want to take live calls. I definitely want to take live calls. But again, since I would have to screen calls and be at the helm over here, it's not as easy to do. So, once I get that down pat, that's why I'm doing it with channel members more than anything right now, because the channel members, it's a lot smaller of an audience. And they all subscribe. So obviously they're supporters. So I don't have to worry about trolls. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Yeah, one of them is Hunter Biden's laptop. I love the name. So, and you know what? For my Patreon family too, I am working on a closing graphic to put on the screen as well. I don't want anybody to feel that they're being neglected. It's just, I'm the only one that does this work, so you can only get so much done in a day, but it will be done. So, with that said, one last request for everyone out there. Wow, that sounds weird. This is the first time I'm ever hearing these things with headphones on. So, if you like the show, smash that like button, like, share, subscribe. I will be here Monday night with Mish. Mish, I hope he's okay. I know he went through a battery of tests today to figure out what the hell's going on with him. He was not on the show Monday because of health and because of computer issues. He had the double whammy. But I talked to him Tuesday. We did almost a 3-hour show on Patreon, and he will be good to go this Monday. So the band will be back together. We'll cover Raw and anything that transpires over the weekend. And please, in the comment section, post your comments. I mean, everything up to yesterday, I have responded to everybody. And then tonight and tomorrow, I will chat and respond back to everybody who commented yesterday and for tonight's show. Let me know what you thought about SmackDown, anything else that's on your mind, and I will respond to all of it. So much love, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We're almost out of the woods. Virus will be around for a few years, but the pandemic will be over very, very shortly. So we just got to keep our eye on the prize. Stay safe. And I'll catch you all Monday night after Raw. Oh, I hate to end on a note like this, but I just saw Phillip Maffei. His uncle passed from cancer 5 years ago. Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate that. It rattles your brain. But, I take this attitude that, it's similar to what I told my dad when Superstorm Sandy hit and his house was leveled and the guy was on suicide watch. I'm not kidding. I told my father, I said, look, you could get angry. You could be depressed. You could be sad. You could just feel hopeless, and it ain't going to build the house. And I don't know how much that helped him or not, but truly, you could get yourself sick over something, and it ain't going to take away the problem. That's what I was telling Mish even on Tuesday. Whatever comes back in his results, fight it. Don't worry about it. I think the problem for a lot of people today is they know or they sense that something is wrong inside. Something just feels off. But you don't go to the doctor because we subconsciously think that if we don't find out what the results are, that it won't happen. And I think some people out there just get very, very scared to hear the truth. And my take on it is, look, if it ends up being what we fear it is, I could get sick, I could lose sleep, I could, just get depressed. It ain't going to cure it. The only thing that's going to cure it is whatever the doctors tell me I got to do, and then we got to hope that it gets cured. So I got to just fight it, do things that keep my mind off of it like this, and just wish for the best. So, but my thoughts are with you too. So thank you, Phil. So everyone, have a great night. I have not made a date yet as far as wedding goes. Trust me, you all know as soon as that is done. But everyone, have a great night. Have a great weekend. And I'll catch you Monday night after Raw. Ciao, everybody.